All right, we should be live. Once I click the right button, there we go. Okay. All right, welcome. Sunday Speedrunner Spotlight episode 166. And we're finally really diving into Minecraft. It took us long enough, but we're here with someone who I think will know what they're talking about, which is good. Because
Hopefully.
I should hope so. You know, your reputation makes it sound like you know a thing or two, so but I know not very much, so I'm here to learn. So if you'd like to introduce yourself and what you do.
Yeah, I'll do my best. Well, I'm Feinberg. I have spearrunner Minecraft for 6 years. Yeah, it's crazy. Almost six. I guess I started like late 2020, and this is early, so like 5.5. Um, yeah, and I guess it's been my job for not the whole time. Like I was in college for the first couple of years, but I was kind of coasting. Uh, and I've been graduated for almost 3 years now. So I guess that's wow, that's insane. That's actually crazy. Um,
Passage
yeah.
of time is
So I don't
fun,
know.
huh?
Yeah, not just frozen being 18 playing Minecraft all the time. I'm 23. But yeah, no, I just do Minecraft spearrunning. That's basically it.
Well, what what more do you need to do, right? It's the gift that keeps on giving.
It's a wonderful game. You can do anything, and that's what I love about it.
hmm Well, how did it get started for you then? Did you start with speedrunning Minecraft specifically, or how did
No,
speedrunning start?
I actually didn't. Maybe I started with like watching Minecraft like a while ago, like 2014, 2015, 2016, whatever. I don't know what speedrunning I like watched back in the day. I never was a like big. I guess the only games I was a fan of was like Mario games back in the day that you'd consider like speedrunning games. Like I've never played a Zelda game in my life. Um, at all. I've watched a little bit, obviously, just from content being in my face, but I couldn't tell you anything about like any core game Zelda mechanics or anything. I'd be so lost. But I played like New Super Mario Bros. On the DS and like Galaxy 1 and 2 on the Wii as a kid. Like that's what my parents had for us for like game consoles was like DS, Wii U. Um, so I actually got a Switch in high school, and the first game I speedran was Super Mario Odyssey, and I was never like crazy good. I think I was top 100 at one point.
All
In the
right,
first
that's
few
pretty
months of the
good
game
for the
coming out.
popularity of the game. Even when
Yeah,
it came
first
out, it
few.
was still pretty big.
I think it's always hard to know because I remember being really pissed that like, oh, I got a run and it would have been top 50, but it didn't get verified for like 2 weeks, and then I was like 70th or something, and I was like,
Yeah.
damn, they just verified my run. Like I just got screwed out of that time, but it's like, well, no. And then I got on the mod team for Minecraft eventually, and I was like, well, they probably just had like 1,000 runs in the queue,
Yeah.
and so I didn't realize that as like a 15-year-old when I submitted the run. I just thought they hated me or whatever. Or, like I just got unlucky.
Yeah. As a longtime Mario 1 moderator, I understand. It's
I didn't
people
get that
get pissed
viewpoint.
when they
Yeah.
don't understand quite how the process works.
Yeah, and everyone on the teams always volunteer and stuff. I did not fully internalize that thought. But yeah, I started with Odyssey for I want to say like a good year. Um, and then I hit the point where like improvement was really slow. Um, Kind of a point that I've hit with like a lot of games and like I feel like people just hit that, like your own like personal plateau or whatever. Um, with any like competitive game I played in my life, and it wasn't any different with this first game that I tried to speedrun, where it's like you have to start really grinding down specific kingdoms or specific like moons or just splits or whatever. It wasn't like um natural progress from just like, learning a better route or like getting more comfortable with the movement. It just got a lot slower, and then naturally that makes like almost anyone have less fun with the game, right? Because you're just like not getting on runs more often. um Improvements slower, harder to see, and so I kind of just like stopped playing eventually, or like maybe my high school friends, we were moving on to a different game anyways. I don't really remember because it was like 9 years ago, but I wasn't on Mario Odyssey for like too long, and I haven't like went back to the game in a while. Like I think I had a subathon a couple years ago where I just did a blind run and it was like 2 hours because I just like or like I didn't remember most of the route. So it's not a game that's like uber stuck with me, but it is like my first submitted run on Sphere.com. It is still on my profile. Um, I have like a 80% and 100% run on that game, so that's what I started with, and then right like literally like a week or two before I started speedrunning Minecraft, for some reason, me and a couple high school friends like wanted to try to speedrun Celeste because I think one of them was playing through the game for the first time, and I think Celeste is a wonderful game
Mhm.
in terms of just like the movement and the whole design and everything. So I'd already played it,
I still need to play
and
it.
it's so like it's so easy with the how it's like built for speedrunning in a way. Like there's just a timer
Mhm.
like in the game that just works and it counts your splits for every chapter that you play and everything. So it must have been like no longer than 5 days that we were actually playing, and we just had like a shared Google spreadsheet that we had our times in. So I never submitted anything to Spear.com because it was never like obviously you don't have to get a good time to submit, but it was like I was at the point where if I just did another run, it would be better. And I knew I was like, oh well, I don't want to submit a run and then submit another run an hour later, right? It's like if I'm just gonna do another run because I just didn't even know like the route or like tech for anything. And we literally must have been playing it for like 5 days, and then I decided to want to play Minecraft because I was watching. It was like a early or like a late 2020 thing where 116 just came out, and for some reason it was just big on Twitch. Like obviously Minecraft's a big game, but it got to the point where like XQC was doing speedruns. All the big streamers at the time that I was watching was doing speedruns. Like Clint Stevens was streaming, Miskiff was streaming. I'm trying to think. Remember, like Simply was on the game. There were just so many people. Forsen, I think, was on the game early back then too, like that early. But there's just so many people playing, and I'd played Minecraft a lot, like as a kid, just like Bed Wars and like Skyblock and Skywars and whatever, like on Hypixel and Mineplex. Like I'd played a lot of Minecraft in just like a casual-ish, competitive-ish way. Like even with my high school roommates and stuff, we just like play Minecraft. And I was watching all these people spearing, and they were so bad. Like, like base game mechanics, just like absolute like fish out of water. Like no concept of like game movement or like inventory management or anything. And the route back then too was just like gambling fucking nation. Like, um, because the 116 as an update was just released in like June, I think, and this was like September, and so no one knew crazy strats for anything yet. So the main strategy to get Ender Pearls, the reason why it was so much faster, is instead of trading with villagers or killing Endermen, which is what you would do in older versions, Piglins would give you pearls, but it was like it's like a 1 in 25 chance for them to give you between 4 and 8. So on average, you would need 2 trades to get like 12 on average, which is what you would need for the portal. But if it's a 1 in 25 and you're only giving them like 5 or 10 gold that you're mining around, the odds that that hits like 5%, 10%, even less, depending on how much you give. And I was like, dude, this is just like gambling slop. Like I could so easily just pop in and try to get a run where I just trade a couple of gold, and all the people I'm watching just fucking suck. And I was like, if this is the floor, like this is what people are watching, like I can lock in. And I played for, I think it took me exactly a month. And then I got a third place time, and then I was just completely hooked after that, to the
Jeez.
point where it was like, wow, like I got top 3. Like this is, I felt like I was nowhere near like my skill peak. Obviously, Minecraft's such a random game compared to so many other speed games. Like Celeste, I was talking about earlier, literally zero randomness in the entire game. I think the only RNG is the background, like the visual background. I think has like a different scroll depending on when you join the level, but like Minecraft could not be farther from that in terms of randomness. So maybe, I definitely think I got lucky getting that third place time. Was I definitively the third best player in the world in October of 2020? Probably not. Um, but it hooked me enough to know that like, damn, like I could get a world record. I could, grind for a while. I could make this like a thing that at least like I get really good at. And I got stuck and now I'm here. There's
and,
a lot in the middle.
and this is third place in like the main like Minecraft category, like the default when you click on it.
Yeah, for the first couple years that I was around, I just played any percent. Yeah, that's the main category that most people care about. I'd still say to this day, I mean, with ranked and everything, and we'll definitely talk more about that later.
Mm-hmm.
But like in terms of just like the Spear.com submission, yeah, most people care about any percent random seed, glitchless. Um, in terms of just like that's the prime category, and I got third place time. Yeah, it was a 17:31, and second place was 17:26. And then first place was 14:56 because he
Jesus.
got luckier than both of us, and that's just kind of how the game works. Like,
Yeah.
he just spawned on the fortress. My fortress was 100 blocks away, but I mean, my stronghold was better than his. The game is all random.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was like late October, within a month.
It's crazy to think that that same category, I assume it's the same version and everything, but what, the record's now like 6 minutes or something?
Yeah, it's a 6:51 right now.
Oh
Yeah,
my god.
but same category, same version, just and yeah, it's a 6:51, and then there's so many times. There's two sub sevens. I think the
Oh.
second place time is 6:59. Um, but then there's like so many times to fill in between like in low seven. Like even though the game is so random, like people like with strats nowadays, it is like so consistent. There's not gaps on the leaderboard anymore of like, oh, this person got 2 minutes luckier than somebody else. Because well, maybe that is true. People put in millions of resets now to like um get that same level of luck eventually, right? So maybe everyone's low 7 minute time is 2 minutes, 2 minutes luckier. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm trying to say. Hopefully that makes
I got it. I got it.
yeah.
I guess I'll ask more into that as we go on because obviously I'm kind of jumping ahead here, but I'm just amazed how much faster it is nowadays compared to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember Minecraft really taking off. I'm guessing that was like a COVID thing, right? Because it sounds like everyone started popping off with that game when COVID
Yeah,
kind of hit.
definitely. I think it definitely helped. It also just helped that the version updated in the first place.
Yeah.
Like when 116 came out, June 2020, definitely timed well with COVID, but it did just make the game faster. And so that's more fun. And it also, I guess not even the fact that it made the game faster, it updated the Nether. Like the Nether hadn't been updated in the game since it literally came out, basically. Like fortresses, even fortresses to this day still look the exact same as when they were released. Like literally, I think absolutely nothing has changed with the structure. In terms of like generation. Um, since what, 2011, 2009 or whatever. And so that was basically the entire nether, is like nothing changed. Like they added magma blocks, I think, and that was it. And then 116 comes around and they add 4 new biomes and an entire new structure and an entire like 3 new mobs, an entire new ore, right? Like netherite, not applicable for a 6 minute speed run, but you know, just like the entire new biome and everything. And so I think that hooked a lot of people as well into being like, damn, like this is it feels like an entirely new, like a big split of the game. The nether is just entirely different. And so I think that just led a lot of people to want to play it for a while and see what could happen.
So the update made it become like the fastest
Yeah,
speedrun
yeah,
version because I know they categorize it. You can choose different versions, but obviously this one's the main
yeah.
one that shows up when you click.
Yep, main, fastest,
Hmm.
most strat development, all that stuff.
Yeah. Do many people run the other versions?
Not really. Like
Yeah.
compared to 116, I'd say that the categories that are, I'd say like second, really nothing is close, which is kind of sad.
Mm.
But it's just because 116 any percent random seed is so popular.
Yeah.
Um, I don't even know what would be like second in terms of like uh playtime. Maybe it would just be 115. Just looking at like how the world record has sort of changed hands in a while. Um, I don't know. Like, obviously, people are gonna enjoy playing 116 because it's the fastest. It's got the most tech developed for it. It has the most like performance mods. Like if you go back and play 1.7, for example, released in like 2016, I think, maybe earlier. But like, there's just less performance mods. Like the game feels a little clunkier. There's a lot of like micro optimizations that they've done throughout the years to like player movement and just like the flow of the game, and that just isn't there. So most people just play 116 for all those reasons. 115 is only one version removed. It's pretty similar. The Nether obviously isn't updated yet, so the route is different. You have to trade with villagers, but people, I'd say, play that a decent amount and try to push that category. I mean, everything's kind of been pushed close enough to its limit. I don't know the exact world records in those other categories, but I know 115 has had new world records this year, or at least in the last 365 days. I don't know if it was in 2026 exactly. Um, I guess like set seed people play a lot of as well, because that's definitely I'd say the second most popular like category as opposed to version split, where it's just you set the seed, so you know that like you can practice a route instead of just going into everything blind. Fundamentally extremely different, but the world record is like a minute 20, minute 30. That really depends on the version too, which is interesting. I don't even know if 116 is the most popular anymore because 1.21 is faster because they just changed the world generation algorithm and like slight things about like dragon behavior and everything. The actual fastest version is like 1.12. I think that's 54 seconds, but I you could talk for hours about set seed like differences and everything. And I'm not the most educated on it by any means. But it is the only, not the only. I did have a world record in it for 12 hours in like late 2020 or early 2021. So that was fun. And then the only other category that I'd say people play really at all is all advancements, and we'll definitely talk more about that.
Yeah.
But that is pretty 116 restricted. There's actually I've seen a lot of new interest in like the new versions for that category. I'd say that's where like new version Minecraft is good. Like if you looked at like what's the most popular thing for people to do in like the newest versions, like 1.21, it definitely would be all advancements over random seed stuff, because in terms of like the general game route, like once you get past 116, they changed Bastion loot and drop rates. So pearls got 4 times rarer. So it's a lot less likely that you get enough pearls in the first place. And then even if you get enough, you get like barely enough. But it's obviously good to have, 3 stacks of pearls because then you can use them to move around and it's just faster than running. So if you get barely enough, it's just slower. And then they also added piglin brutes into bastions, which are piglins that you can't trade with, that deal more damage, that can't get distracted. So it's just like they're a nuisance in every definition of the word. And so everything about the run is slower. Also overworld generation is different, so just everything is slower, and it's not a different route. Like if you wanted to play 1.7, sure, the run would be slower. I think the world record's like 16 minutes, and the world record for 116 is 6 minutes, but you're doing a different route the whole time. Like you're getting your pearls a different way, you're getting into the nether a different way. The end fight is completely different, so it's like fun in that sense where it's all different, right? It's not like you're not really wishing you were just rather play 116 when you're on that. But if you're playing 1.21, everything is very similar. Like really nothing on the route changes. It's just slower, and so that loses a lot of it loses a lot of appeal for people in that. But for all advancements in new versions, it's cool because they've added like 40 new advancements. All the new structures that they add, they tie an advancement into. Like the trial chambers that they added a couple of years ago, you have to get a mace. You have to go to an ancient city to find some loot in the structure. You have to interact with every new biome and mostly every new mob, and so that's a lot of fun. And I've actually seen a lot of um, Chinese community interest. Like they have the world records for the new 1.21 versions, and some of the times they've put up are like really good, to the point where like if I feel like I would have to grind that version for a while to get times close to that. Like they've pushed a lot, and I don't know exactly how much or whatever because I don't speak Mandarin, and so I don't really watch them on Bilibili, so I don't know exactly um, how dedicated the scene is. If it's just the same couple of people getting times, or everyone's kind of working together. I just don't know, but it's cool that that's where a lot of interest is in new versions. But overall, everything is just so small compared to Random Seed. Like that's just by far the most watched. Like if you watch, if you go on any Minecraft streamer that's doing speedrunning, that's what they're going to be doing.
Mhm.
Um, and if they're playing ranked, that's on Random Seeds too, right? It's like, so obviously if you click on a random streamer, they're honestly probably playing ranked, but
Mhm.
that's ranked is not for set seed, ranked is not for AA, ranked is for RSG. That's like why it was made in the first place and all that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So the main version is just kind of the sweet spot of
Yeah.
updates since the beginning. Okay. And that's fairly true to all categories, but obviously some people take the more modernized ones, um,
Yeah.
depending on the category. Okay. Well, anyway, back to kind of your progression. You just mentioned like getting top three in that main
Mhm.
category, and then the community obviously kept growing at a rapid pace at that point. So,
Very rapid, yeah.
so I guess just what was that like back then?
Yeah. It was definitely interesting because I never started streaming like to try and have it be a job, or like to try and like be popular or whatever. I was just streaming so that my high school friends could watch me play. And I know that like when you submit runs, you have to record them. And so I was like, well, if I just stream, I can use Twitch VOD or the Twitch highlight or whatever. Um, and those are all gone now from back in the day. The very, very early ones, because the whole Twitch highlight thing. And I didn't
Yeah,
know back I didn't know back then that I would be this popular now, so I wasn't like smart about archiving everything. So my old Odyssey runs are gone, and
yeah, that's a
my
shame.
old Minecraft runs up to a point are gone, which does suck. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
when that Twitch announcement, oh, I was so mad. I was lucky
yeah.
where I backed all my stuff up, but like, yeah, I knew if you
There's
did,
a
and
ton of stuff that
especially
got
for
lost. Yeah.
yeah, especially for speedrun history, those like old
Yeah.
Twitch
Yeah.
VODs are so important, and a lot of people like if they're not active, they don't do anything about it. So I don't know.
Hmm.
I was so mad when that happened.
No, it definitely was like a big blindside. Um, but yeah, I just kind of was, doing runs for a couple months, and then I actually got a little demotivated in specifically the random seed category because it was right around the time where people were actually starting to think about the route, because people were getting tired of just spawning in, trying to trade with like one or two piglins. And if you don't get your pearls, you get unlucky. It was just, it was too much gambling. People thought there was like, something better. Something better than, spawning in a village and, entering with a stone pickaxe in 4 minutes. People thought there was something better. And so there was this like couple month period of massive strat development. Finally utilizing the Bastion, which was, the new structure in the Nether. And it has gold blocks and it has piglins and it has what you need, but no one knew how to like, get there. Because to us, it looked like what it would look like to a casual player, where it was like, damn, this is really scary. Like you go in here, all the piglins are going to try to kill you, right? We didn't know the routes that we know today. We didn't know a route at all. We didn't even know how to get the gold blocks, because the way we were entering the Nether didn't even give us an iron pickaxe. We would go to the village, we'd kill the golem for a bucket, and then we'd enter the Nether. We would have a stone pickaxe, and you need an iron pickaxe to mine gold blocks. So there was no even consideration for the bastions for the first couple months, and then we finally got, just got to the point where the runs were too lucky. We knew there was, something else there. And so basically like almost everything about the route of the game got improved drastically, like late 2020, early 2021. Bastions finally started getting used. The overworld meta shifted from using a village to using shipwrecks, because shipwrecks just have iron in the chest. So if you spawn next to a shipwreck, you get 20 iron. You don't need the village. The shipwreck has some food. There were other alternate ways to try to get good food, trying to utilize, the mushroom spawns in the nether to create mushroom stew. Creating portals that you could make out of the magma-fied ravines in the ocean, because obviously a ravine has lava at the bottom, but if you're in the ocean, it's all watered over, flooded over. But people then develop portals that they can make down there. If you use like doors for air pockets or fence gates for air pockets, you could shimmy around the lava and make something happen. So basically every part of the run got like vastly improved, and it didn't scare me. I just didn't really want to learn something and then have it be wrong 2 days later. I was just I'm just lazy. I'm just lazy with learning new stuff in general. Like still to this day, but I like didn't want to spend so much time trying something and then be told 2 days later, or have someone find something new 2 days later that is just different. And it's like, damn, okay. So I just switched categories. I just started playing Set Seed instead. And Set Seed, funnily enough, had a similar problem to where people would have a route for a seed. Seeds were basically always 12-eye portals, so you never needed to get a blaze rod or an ender pearl, and you would just like the first seed I played was you just spawn in a village, you get a blacksmith for 10 obby, you punch 4 beds. There's a room portal right at spawn, so you place your obby, you get in the nether, you run 100 blocks in the nether in a direction, you build another portal, and you're in the portal room. And then you enter the end 4 seconds later, and then you wait for the dragon to perch, and that was it. You just run that on loop, and you would need good movement, and then you would need the dragon to perch really fast, and that's all it was. And then there was a little bit of swimming at the very start of the seed, so if you were lucky and a dolphin spawned, you could do that like 2 seconds faster. So it was called Dolphin Seed. That was it. And I played that for, I want to say, a month or two, and I think my best time was 3rd. It was never 2nd, and the guy in 1st actually cheated. And we only found out in 2024.
Well,
But he just cheated his dragon movement, and we all knew it was like weird at the time, but no one assumed that he was just cheating, right? So it was just like, oh, it has to be something with like your game version or your Java version or your hardware or something. Like we were all trying to. That wasn't the assumption. So I don't think I ever got a world record stolen. A couple of my friends did, just because they were 2nd at the time, but I was 3rd. But Setsuit had this a similar problem to where instead of like routes being like tech being developed new every time, or routes being developed new every time, every like month or two there would just be a new seed that someone would seed find for. They'd run more like seed checks, they'd run more, brute forcing. Or they'd go back through a list of seeds and try to think of a better route for a seed that maybe was good or not. And when that would happen, obviously the world record progression would look a bit silly, because if it's a new seed that's 10 seconds faster, basically whoever got to the speed run first and got a decent enough time, it would be faster. And it was all lumped under the same category. There wasn't a split for world record for seed 1 versus world record for seed 2 versus world record for seed -4,720,000, whatever.
that'd
Like
be a lot of
it's just all
categories.
exactly. It's just all one thing.
Oh, quick question
So
actually. Do they,
yeah,
in like the leaderboard submissions, did they have like, did they show what seed you used?
they do. You have to
Okay.
submit the seed. Yeah. So you can filter by it. There is like a Google sheet for people to,
Okay.
where they still keep historical data, because the fastest seed of today is not the fastest seed of 2 years ago or the fastest seed of 3 years ago, but there was like periods of time where one seed was the fastest for a solid year or two, and so that seed has a lot of competition on it, and so that leaderboard is preserved on like Google Sheets, because it was very competitive. There's a couple seeds that have been like that, but it's hard to see that on Spear.com if you don't use filters,
Yeah.
or just like look in the description.
I'm
But yeah,
I'm
that's
glad
how I
they
got
preserved it
my.
in that way though.
Yeah, it is. The sheet is really nice. but yeah, that's how I got my one set to world record. It was for 12 hours. It was when a new seed came out within the first couple days, and I got the world record by I think a quarter of a second. And then I woke up and it was 5 seconds faster. So
It
I
counts.
was I was outclassed, but it does count. I did get the run in. Um, but yeah, I'd say I did that for a solid couple months, and that was fun. And I got my streams to some level of exposure, like 50, 60 viewer range, which was definitely very big. But at the time, there were other people in the Minecraft community that were pulling like 2,000 viewers, 3,000 viewers. So it wasn't like I'd say mainstream at that point at all, even in the Minecraft community. It only really blew up, I'd say, in like February to March, where I decided to go back to random seed because the whole strategy boom was kind of done. Like obviously people are still improving things to this day, but the whole like 2 month period of let's overhaul the entire route of the game and learn an entire new structure, learn an entire new way to do every dimension, every split was kind of done. For the most part, like the basics, like I could learn the new routes and the new basics and I wouldn't be wrong the next day. Maybe it would be updated in a week here and there, but it wouldn't be just wrong. It wouldn't be outright wrong. So I decided to go back and learn that and go back to random seed runs because it is just the most popular. And around then is where I started forming like my friend group of friends I still talk to this day, around this random community, and we all kind of grew with each other. A couple of my friends had the world records back to back for a decent amount of time there, and that's where things like really blew up, for me. Going from like I think 1 month of like 70 average viewers, and the next month was like 500. Because I just switched categories. My friend got world record. We were just doing collab stuff all the time and just doing runs. And I didn't have the world record. I've never had the world record in random seed for 116, but I was always close. And the world record has, for basically its entire lifespan, still been, are you getting the luckiest on the seed? It's not something where like, okay, if you watch, Mario 1, there's like, I am gonna be wrong when I say this probably,
I'll
but at
correct you,
least
don't worry.
from an outside perspective, to me, it seems like there are two people that can get the world record. Is it tied right now still, or
No,
did Averge is like 1 frame ahead or something?
I think it's
Maybe.
it's either 2 or 3. I don't.
Okay.
There's two that are clearly the best right now, but someone else just got mid 454, which is
Is it
tied.
Lukuki? Yeah. Is it
No, it was
Lukuki or somebody else?
King of Johnny Boy actually. Um,
I haven't heard of him, but I'm not in the
yeah,
space at all. I just
yeah.
watch the YouTube documentaries that I get.
Hey, I mean that's fair. I'm the same way with like every other game, but Mario
Yeah.
One's the one I am knowledgeable on. So
But if
uh,
you look at a game like that, I guess my point is that there's a very short list of people that could get the record. And if anybody else in the entire world got the record, you would instantly know that it's cheated, or that would be like the main, thought is that it's like, that's not them playing or whatever, right? It's like some completely random person got the record out of nowhere. It wouldn't make sense. But in Minecraft, basically for its entire lifespan, even till today, there's a solid 100 people that I think could get the record at any given time, maybe even 200, just because it's so
Jesus.
random,
Yeah.
that it just is, did you get a really good seed? Did you get really good luck? And did you close it out? Like I think the world record right now is 651. And if I go to ranked leaderboard and go to times, just in ranked, there's 80 people that have a 651 or faster. In their lifespan. Obviously, ranked seeds are filtered a little bit. Like they're not bad seeds by any means, but it's not like the players know anything when they're playing them.
I guess here's a question for ranked: is it the
Yeah.
same exact thing? Like, I assume you can't like submit a ranked run to the
No, you
leaderboard,
can't.
obviously, because then there's be a lot more, as you just said, there'd be a lot more faster
Yeah, you
times.
cannot
But
submit it just because the RNG is like standardized
okay,
between the players when they play, and while it is a random seed to the person playing, like it's a pretty big seed bank. Um,
Okay.
I think I've only played a duplicate seed that I can remember once. Um, and it was like 2 days after I played the seed, and it was against the same person. It was the funniest like
What?
interaction. Like
Wow.
we loaded into this overworld, and it was like, oh my god, I've played this island before. But I've had a lot of deja vu moments, so it's very possible that I've played a seed, like months apart, and like
Yeah.
been like, damn, I really recognize the way this fortress looks. Maybe I played like I don't know. Um, but they are just filtered, like they're not completely random because
Mhm.
99.99% of Minecraft seeds are terrible. So they are heavily filtered to, like make sure there's terrain and make sure that structures exist, make sure, everything is there for the player. But it's not like overkill over the top.
Mhm.
There's been a category that was kind of a fad. No one really plays it anymore, but late 2021, early 2022, maybe. I don't remember the exact year. That sounds right though. Um, where that was a category of like you're just playing completely over the top seeds. So I think the short list of what it was like at the very end is you spawn in right next to a room portal. The room portal has to have a gold axe. It has to be completable. So there's no crying obsidian in the frame. There has to be, obby in the portal that you can place to fill it in, a flint and steel or a fire charge to light it. Um, there has to be a looting 2 or a looting 3 gold sword in the chest. Um, there has to be food of some capacity, either, at least one golden apple, maybe some golden carrots. So that was the overworld. You would spawn within 100 blocks of a bastion. It would be one of two bastion types, the two that are the fastest for like high rolling. Um, and then within 200 blocks of the bastion, in like one of the four cardinal directions, so like couldn't be diagonal, there would be a fortress. And then if you built a portal to leave the nether near that fortress at certain coordinates, you'd be within 300 blocks of a stronghold. That would be guaranteed to be in an ocean, so it would have the highest odds of the portal room being exposed. Because obviously, if it's in a desert, it's going to be underground. If it's an ocean, it could be above the water. Um, so I think the total list of seeds that fit that criteria was like in the hundreds of thousands. And when there's like quadrillions of seeds,
Yeah.
that's really low. But people were like playing that for slop back in the day just because it was like so fast and it was just fun. It was just max gambling. I had the world record for that for actually a few months. I got the first ever sub 6 in that. So my
Mhm.
time there from 2022 on a seed filtered like that is faster than I've ever done anything in ranked. It's faster than anyone's ever done anything on random seed. Um, and I think the world record for that now is like 403 or something. Like it's almost sub 4. So you can get a lot faster. And obviously set seed is, a minute and change.
Mhm.
But ranked and RSG are pretty similar in the sense that the seeds are normal enough, right? You're not playing it and you're like, damn, this is like obviously filtered. It's something that realistically could get rolled. Because that's kind of what ranked was made for originally, was trying to because ranked had no footing when I came out. Obviously now it's the main thing that people play, I'd say. I don't think it's the main thing that like your average random person that doesn't play Minecraft at all would instantly care about. They'd care about the speedrun world record, and that's not what ranked is.
Mhm.
Um, but ranked back in the day was just a new project. It was nothing, and so it was tried to be as similar to RSG as possible because that's just what everyone knew, right? So like the style of the seeds, they weren't supposed to be over the top filtered for, and the whole just flow of the game and everything. So it's very similar. I don't even remember the initial question. I yap a lot.
No, it's fine. That's what we do here. But yeah, I was asking if like the like gameplay and everything is pretty much the same, like between ranked and
Yeah,
regular speedruns. It's just the filtering that makes it not allowed,
yeah. I
basically.
will say, I guess something I forgot to mention just because I was yapping so much is that the main difference is when you're playing random seed, you only care about the fastest possible time submitted, right? Like
Hmm.
that's what you care about. Is like if you have a 7:30 PB and in your run, um, let's like grossly oversimplify. And let's just say if you leave the blaze spawner on 5 blaze rods, you only have 10 eyes. The portal has 12, so you need 2 of them already filled in. If you leave the spawner on 5 blaze rods, maybe you can get a 725 and you can PB by 5 seconds because you're looking at your timer. You kind of know how long the end of the game is going to take, the end game splits. So you could leave on 5 blaze rods and try to PB by 5 seconds. And if you hit the 75% chance that you don't get a 2-eye or better, you just lose the run. But it's whatever because you reset, and it doesn't really matter if you get a 745 because your PB is already 730, right? It doesn't matter. But in ranked, if you do that, and you leave on 5 blaze rods and there's not 2 eyes in the portal, then you lose, right? Because you would then have to go back and get more. So the difference in gameplay is the risk element, right? Is a lot of things in rank that you do, trying your best to not be in situations like that, doing things that are slightly more consistent, building for less RNG overall on the run, just like routes that way. It is very, very similar. I'm of the opinion that I think it's very similar. There are definitely slight differences. There's actually in the recent season of playoffs, the person who got third is primarily a random seed player. Like they really don't play much ranked at all. This was the first playoffs that they played in, and they definitely do things a bit differently, like small little route differences here and there's small little decision making differences in certain splits, but the overall like route of the game is the exact same. Like because it's not like either category you're trying to do things wrong on purpose, right? It's just like it is just different like levels of risk that you're taking. So it's minor in the grand scheme of things, but it's not the exact same, I guess.
Okay. So the gameplay between ranked and the regular speedruns are the same. The decision making is different, basically.
Yeah, that's a good way to phrase it. Yeah, is the
Okay.
decision making can change, but
And then the
yeah.
only thing that makes it like unofficial, quote unquote, is the fact that it is a like there's a pool of possible seats instead of just actually just being
Yeah.
randomness.
It's just not random. So that's one thing that makes it. And then also the rank mod itself obviously
Yeah, but
like fixes some randomness. But the main problem for sure is that the seeds just aren't random. Like you're not doing the resetting. It's a filtered program that's giving you a seed out of a list. But yeah.
but playing one thing can help with the other and vice versa. So
Yeah, for sure.
okay. Yeah. I just wanted to understand kind of how both things work
Yeah.
because, I'm very much a casual observer, and even there, I don't watch that much. So gotta learn. I haven't been much of a Minecrafter myself, but
All good.
obviously it's popular, and you gotta learn why. Anyway, so that clears up that. There's actually one more question I still had. Obviously, if I
Yeah.
ask like what RNG's in the run, we'd be here for 10 years. But I think the one thing that's like matters in all run is dragon perching. I'm kind of curious how that works because that seems like a pretty big
Yeah.
factor.
Yeah, so that is at the end of the game. It is very random. So it basically works. How do I explain this without talking for like an hour? The dragon just kind of flies around randomly. It has a chance to either just keep flying around randomly or fireball you as an attack or perch. And the perch is when it flies to the middle on the bedrock fountain and just sort of perches. Because in older versions, it would actually fly at the player.
Mm.
So that's where, like, if you're playing 1.7, the end fight's completely different. In newer versions, there's 10 end towers. I think they're actually called end spikes in the code. Kind of funny. That just have the crystals on top. So that's where the dragon heals from. And they're in a circle around the middle, which has the fountain. The actual like orientation, that's not the right word, like where the towers spawn, there's like 10 ones of different heights, but they're not in the same like order every time. Like if you go clockwise around, like different towers can be in different spots on this circle. but they're all in a circle. They're all like the coordinates are the same. It's just the heights will vary um, between 1 of 10 predetermined heights. But they're in the same spot every time. There's 10 crystals every time. The fountain's in the middle. In older Minecraft, the amount of towers that you could have was completely random. You could technically have a seed that had 0. You could have a seed that would have 50. And then the dragon would charge at the player. It wouldn't perch. And then the exit fountain would only spawn once you killed the dragon. And then it would spawn under the dragon right where you killed it. So just completely different. But in new versions, the dragon will fly around. It will either keep flying around, it will fireball you, and then you have to get out of the way, or it will perch. And so the annoying thing is the perch base chance is a 1 in 13. So,
Jesus.
and it's never guaranteed. And so you could be there for 10 seconds, and the fastest end fight you can have, where if you get an insta perch, is what it's called. It's just, you hit a 1 in 13 on the first roll, is like 49 seconds, or you could be in the end for 10 minutes. Like, if it's just how it goes. So the first big strat that people developed to counter this was just shooting the crystals. Every crystal you shoot lowers the number in the denominator of that odd by 1. So when you have 10 crystals up, it's a 1 in 13 for the dragon to perch. If you shoot 1 crystal, now it's a 1 in 12. You shoot 2 crystals, now it's a 1 in 11. So you can get it all the way down, or I guess up, to a 1 in 3 chance if you shoot all 10 crystals. And that's been refined over the years. Like, how many crystals does it actually make sense to shoot? Where do you shoot them from? Where do you go when you stop shooting them? All that stuff. So that's a strat for consistency. And it's pretty easy to get a bow and arrow in the speedrun. Like in the Bastion, there's just arrows and a crossbow in chests. So that's, no time loss basically ever. But that still is random. Like, even if you get it down to the 1 in 3, you can still whiff on the 1 in 3 for 2 minutes, right? And every time you shoot a crystal, the dragon actually has to fireball you. So it does have a slower minimum time. Like, if you're still trying to get the fastest possible end fight just off of 4 beds, nothing else, you want that insta perch instead. So like most set seeds, you will see people go for the insta perch, unless there's another crazy fancy way to kill the dragon that I could spend 2 hours explaining. Like arrow velocity, whatever. So that is something that people will do a lot in ranked, because it's more consistency based. That's a big difference in ranked, is you'd want to do what's called half bow, where you shoot half the crystals, try to get that perch chance up. Whereas in the short term, sure, maybe you're not getting the instant perch more often, but over a 3-minute period, you're going to get the perch way more often than someone who's just sitting there and waiting. So that was the first big development. And then the next, and maybe final, who knows, crazy development is what's called the zero cycle. And so it basically abuses the fact that when the dragon spawns in, it chooses the same couple spots to like start its entire movement. Because when the dragon moves around, it's not choosing a random coordinate in the world. It's choosing between like 24, maybe it's either 24 or 32, I think, random like predetermined nodes in the world, just like random points in space that it kind of flies around. And the dragon has so much momentum and so much like the speed is so weird. So it doesn't look snappy. Like, obviously it would look really weird if it was just sort of like beelining it to a point and then hitting a 90-degree turn and beelining it to another point. And it was the same points every time. But the dragon's so like fluid with the just like physics that they gave her. So it doesn't look weird. Like, you wouldn't really be able to tell as a casual player just watching it. But it only picks between flying between, a maximum 32 different like points in space. And the key to this zero cycle strategy is at the very start, when the dragon initially spawns in, it only can choose 4. Ever. There's only 4 that can ever choose. So what you can do is, if you have pearls and blocks, you can actually just go build up to one of those coordinates. Like, you watch the dragon, see which one of the 4 it goes to, go build to high up in the sky to one of those. and you can just kill it in the air with beds before it finishes that first movement cycle, like before it gets low enough to start rolling for another, like it hits a Y level barrier and then starts checking another, like what's it going to do next. You can just kill it with beds before it gets there. And so that's really been the future of the end fight. There's still some randomness in that in terms of like what Y level does it choose to leave, which one of the 4 coordinates does it go to. Obviously, if you have to beat the dragon there, different end tower like spawn distributions can be different, right? Like if you're trying to get really high, you probably want a higher tower near the coordinate that she picked to go to, right? If you have the tower that Y height is 75, it's going to be harder to get high up than the tower that the Y height's 95 at the top because you can't pearl that high. If you spawn in the end and you spawn in a cage of end stone, you have to mine out with a pickaxe. That's going to lose you a few seconds versus if you spawn completely open and can just throw a pearl straight forward right when you spawn in. So there's still a lot of randomness. It is not a free strategy by any means. It is the one strategy that you can learn a basic way how to do it in like 20 minutes if you're the lowest rank in ranked in the game. Like you can learn the one strategy that will work on the practice map in the specific like setup for the dragon specific tower specific coordinate. You can learn that. It's also the strategy that every top runner still practices. Every top runner will still practice for the entirety of this year and next year and beyond because it is so crazy complicated. It's really cool. I don't know. Like zero cycling is just crazy cool. There's so much that you can do to save 4 seconds over somebody else on the same dragon, or you can try to get 4 blocks higher, or try to save 1 more bed. But it really is the future because the fastest insta perch that I said earlier, if you just sort of load in to the end, wait for the dragon to roll out 1 in 13, 50 seconds, 49 seconds. You can get a zero cycle done in under 1 minute on basically any seed. And the fastest zero cycles can be 45 seconds, even 42. While they do need, obviously, you need more health because you're going to have to pearl aggressively. You need some blocks. You need more beds potentially. You need more stuff. But that really is the future. And there's been so much tech development into that in all angles, right? Like, how do you use beds to kill the dragon in the zero cycle? How do you use respawn anchors that blow up to kill a dragon? In the last couple of years, people have started using a bow to abuse what's the word? Like damage iframes basically to get 2 beds off in the same frame that normally you'd be able to get 1. So you can basically get double damage on certain spins of the dragon. People have found ways to if you're buried in end stone, you don't actually have to dig all the end stone. You can throw a pearl straight up and clip through the ceiling, and that'll save you breaking 2 end stone. That saves you half a second. That means you can maybe get a little bit higher, save the dragon a little bit more often. So it's so crazy in depth. It determines so many ranked games at the highest level. It determines, the difference between a world record or not for random seed. Because obviously, if you're just playing for the luck, you can enter the end and get a perch and then get world record. But there's been dozens and dozens of people that have tried that and it just hasn't perched and they haven't gotten it. Happened to me in November 2022. I entered the end at 6:35 and the world record was 8:15. So I had a minute 40 to just sit there and wait and hope the dragon rolled the 1 in 13. And it didn't happen. And I just couldn't zero cycle because I entered the end with no pearls because I used them all in the nether and I just didn't get that many from the bastion in the first place. And so it's something that just adds so much consistency. It's like the same speed as the instant perch. If you have enough resources, just from the bastion, it doesn't really lose you time preparing for it. So that's kind of where the end fight's at now, where that is the strat, and specifically for ranked, how comfortable you are in like every situation there possibly could be will determine a pretty sizable part of like how good you are as a player. because like I said earlier, if you're just waiting for that perch, even if you shoot the crystals down to improve your odds, it could take 10 minutes. And ranked actually built in a like pity timer where if you've been in the end for 3 minutes, I think at the 3 minute and 10 second mark, it forces a perch. Because before it did that, you literally could just be there for 10 minutes. And that's just not fun when the rest of the entire run can take you 6 minutes up to that point to get there. So there is a pity timer built in. But even with that pity timer, if you zero cycle, you can save 2 minutes on somebody else. And that's massive when in the rest of the run, it's, hard to save 20, 30 seconds sometimes. So yeah.
Got it.
Endfight's very complicated. I try
Yeah.
to be concise with that, but it's just it's crazy how much development.
Yeah, no, it is interesting. And that actually answered another question I was going to ask is because in ranked, people get the same seed, and I guess I'll ask a little bit more into that. Do they get the same RNG as well in like other aspects of the game?
99% of the game, yes.
Okay, but not the dragon perching, obviously.
Yes,
Because...
yes. So like, all of the drops and like default mob spawns and everything, like passive mobs like cows, pigs, sheep, all their drops, all the trades, all the blaze drops, every spawner, so the blaze spawner notably, all of that is standard. So like, drop, spawn time, everything. The major things, there's like 3 major things that aren't standard because it's very hard to implement without breaking the game in some way. Is dragon perch, like you said, and that is actually, I think, going to be standardized next season, or at least finally as an implementation in.
Okay.
Just because it's so complicated. Like if you shoot the crystals in a different order, or if you go to a different side of the end found, or if you stand at a different spot so the dragon sees you differently, it's so hard to standardize. So it never really was, just because there was not a great implementation for a while. But I think there's finally something good, like that's probabilistic, where if you sort of play the end fight better, you kind of build up like a charge meter, for lack of a better word, of like when you should sort of get the perch. And if you play the end fight better, you shoot more crystals, you go farther back, you'll build that meter up faster. But the meter per seed is obviously still random. But so that is, I think next season it might be in like a private room settings now. I don't know exactly, or exactly how it's coded in. But that is something that's worked on. The second thing, which is kind of small but matters on some seeds, is like fire spread, because there is a strategy where if you build a nether portal and a lava pool, but you're in the middle of a desert, or you're in the middle of a plains biome from your village or your desert temple, and there's no river for gravel, or there's just no gravel on a mountain or anything, you can just place wood around the nether portal and then hope it catches fire. And then that will light your portal. And so that's a strategy. And that's actually the right decision a lot of the time. If the river is really far away, if there's no river, like it is just the correct decision. But that fire spread thing is random. So there, like, you can just lose the game if it takes you 30 seconds longer than somebody else. And so that doesn't have a great implementation, because that is something that's really hard to standardize, because even someone building one block differently is going to change, how their randomness calls work. Or if they, like, what if someone builds the lava pool, the portal on the left side of the lava pool? Like, you both run at the same lava pools. Someone likes building them on the left, someone likes building them on the right, right? So, like, how do you make sure those are standard? That's something that's never been tackled. And then the final thing, which is probably not as impactful as the perch, but also it's just pretty impactful in general, is just like stray mob spawning. So obviously, like in bastions, the piglins are standardized. Like they come with the structure, they're going to be in the same spot. In the overworld, all the passive mobs come with the chunks when they generate, they're going to be in the same spot. But the 70 hostile mobs that fill up the mob cap in your world just spawn wherever. And if you lower your render distance to 2, they'll all spawn closer to you. And if you have your render distance higher, they'll all spawn randomly just, around the world. And so that's a big thing when it comes to the Nether Fortress, is if you just get stray mobs, you can have 5 extra blazes just on your way to a spawner, and that's going to save you maybe 40 seconds, right? And then if somebody else goes to the fortress and they have 5 wither skeletons in their way instead, that could lose them 50 seconds. And so now there's a 2-minute gap in between these runners. And that's just so hard to standardize because it all depends on your render distance, and it all depends on the direction that you're loading the chunks. It depends on your hardware specifically as well, like just what order are the chunks even being loaded in. So it's such a hard problem to fix. So there's just not been a good implementation yet. But those are really the only 3 random things in ranked: is stray mob spawning, fire spread, and dragon perch. Basically, literally everything else. I guess like mob pathfinding RNG as well. Like in the Bastion specifically, the piglins can walk certain ways, just like idling, or like cows and pigs in the overworld can walk certain ways, and that is random too. But like every sort of like RNG rate is the same. If you mine a block, it will drop in the same direction as somebody else. Like you'll get the same gravel at the same time. The golem will drop the same amount of stuff. If you enter the nether, you'll spawn in the same spot as the other person, even if you went to a different lava pool. That used to be a problem way back in the day. Is like if you used lava pools 50 blocks away, someone could be in a cave in the nether, the other person couldn't. So that got standardized. Each blaze spawner is standardized the same way, so it doesn't matter if you go to one spawner, your opponent goes to the other one. Those are the same. There's a lot that's standardized, but there's just a couple of things that are very hard to implement, so they've been missed.
Mm-hmm. But everything within reason is already standardized.
Yeah, basically.
Which is already pretty impressive, but yeah, obviously the game is complicated.
The game is very complicated, very spaghetti Java code.
Yeah. Well, anyway, back to wherever we were 2 hours ago. I think it was just like kind of the growth of everything. I don't know, what was that, late 2021 now or something?
Yeah, I'd say, I mean, if you just look at like my stats or whatever, that was sort of when I sort of blew up. And I think the community as a whole, I think, had its biggest, like, I think it's peaking now for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But back in the day, it was definitely like late 2020. If you just look at other numbers, because that's when all the big streamers were in it, right? And then I kind of went into the recession of like, who's here really just for the Minecraft versus who's here just because XQC was playing it for 4 months. And all the other big streamers are playing it for 4 months. So after like late 2020 is when it dipped as a whole, but that's mainly just because the big streamers at the time went from like 3,000 to 1,000 viewers. But the whole community, like a lot of the smaller members in the community, got their like big increases in 2021. Just because the game was getting more refined, like speedruns are more fun to watch because a lot of the randomness was being combated by like better strategies. The run was just getting faster. The addition of like early tournaments, because before ranked there were still tournaments. It was just someone would send you the same world file as somebody else, and there'd be a little data pack so that you would get the same drops. So like trades and blaze rods, those have always been standardized as far as tournaments go. And then you'd be in a Discord call with a referee, and they would just say 3, 2, 1, go, and then you would go, and then they would tell you when someone won. And that was how it would go. So that was sort of the intro. I mean, there was one tournament in 2020, but it was kind of slop just because it was still in the meta where you just traded for gold from random piglins, and there wasn't a randomness standardization at the time. So you were basically watching 2 people pull a slot machine, and the winner was whoever got 3 777s first. That was literally all it was. But it was fun at the time. And yeah, so 2021 was sort of the start of like some big tournaments for back in the day, and just the more like solidifying the community as a whole. and I definitely got like my footing there. And I wasn't full time streaming till 2023, but it was at the point where it's like, damn, like I have to pay taxes now, like on like the money that I'm making this year, and it's like I don't have to. I can tell my parents like, hey, you don't have to send me money for like food or rent anymore. Like while I was just in school, it's like I don't need that anymore, which is cool. Or like I think they were still paying my rent, but I didn't have to like ask them every few weeks for like random food money or like random BS, which was cool. Um, but yeah, then I decided to switch to all advancements at the end of the year in 2021 because I don't know, I was hitting the burnout phase again where it's like I was just resetting for world record and I needed to get lucky and I kind of knew all the strats and everything, but I mean the world record's only ever been held by one person at a time. And like I said earlier, solid 100 people could get it at any given moment. So there's always going to be 99 people that have the skill for it that aren't going to be able to get it. And compared to other games, that's like a massive number. So it kind of builds losers, for better or for worse. And so I just wanted to try something else. And so I went over to all advancements, and that was a big part of my life for like 3 years.
Yeah, so what's that category like?
Um, I think it's harder. I think it's fun. I think it's more fun. Um, because you do still just have to beat the game, right? Like you do still have to kill the dragon at the very start. That's how the runs always go. But you are getting every advancement. It is a lot more decision making based and a lot less mechanics based, I guess, just because the run is so long. And also, as a vast majority of the run, you just having a light run, so you're flying, and so your mechanics consist of right clicking once every few seconds and moving your mouse slightly up and down to control flying, as opposed to like crazy block placing and crazy pearls and everything. It's a lot more laid back, right? Like you can play the game with one hand instead of two for a solid hour uh, in the 2 hour run. But I don't know. I think all events is really cool. There's just so much to juggle all the time. Like you really do have to do not like everything because they haven't made an advancement for everything, but you kind of get everything, right? Like you have to breed every mob, you have to eat every piece of food, you have to kill every hostile mob, you have to find every biome. Um, and I've always liked doing like completionist stuff in games. Just like getting all like the Steam achievements or whatever. So it was a fun thing for me to want to try. Um, and yeah, I just stuck with it for a long time because I got the world record after a few months of playing. Actually, I tried it initially like in April of 2021, and I thought it was too hard because I just didn't understand the category. Because if you're like clueless and you don't know what to do, um, for like the 200 something like goals and criteria that you need to get done, it's really overwhelming and it's hard to show somebody a guide because the seeds are so random. um it's not like you can have a route for like a bastion that like it's not like a transferable concept for most of AA. It's like, how do you find a jungle? It's like, oh, you have to fly better. Like, how do you find all the gold that you need to find? Oh, you need to explore better. But it's like, what does that mean? It's hard to explain that at a guide. You kind of just have to play to learn. And so I tried it in April for like a week. I think it was like a subathon goal or something. And I actually quit. I was like, damn, this is really like I couldn't get a run done like fast at all. I was like, fucking, I died like 12 hours in the Nether, and I was like, holy fuck, this is like crazy.
Jeez.
Um, got bored again at the end of the year. Went back to it. And then things just finally clicked. And so that was basically the main category that I played for 4 years, 3.5, I think. Um, I don't know. I just think there's so much depth into it in terms of like decision making. There's so much that's like how do you tell if you're in the middle of an ocean, should you go left or should you go right? It's like what specifically should you be like diving down for? How do you like most efficiently route, like if there's 3 villages and 2 desert temples on your screen, like how do you bounce between all of them and make sure you're not backtracking? How do you know when to sort of pivot to trying to focus exploring on certain parts of the world? And also just flying with the Elytra is fun. Is more laid back. I could read chat more often. Like when I'm playing ranked, I'm focused the entire time. Like if I look over a chat at all, it's like in a portal animation for 2 seconds. Like I'm trying to be locked on the seed because ranked seeds can come down to the second. And obviously, I'm trying to play as fast as I can in all advancements. Like if I'm trying to submit a world record, I'd rather it be 1 second faster than 1 second slower. But if you're flying with an Elytra, you don't need to have any hands on the keyboard at all. It's not like a mechanically intensive part of the runner part of the game, and so it's easy to read chat. It's also not ranked. The timing rules are more lenient. You can just pause whenever you want to go to the bathroom, or pause to read chat, or pause to just like drink water or whatever. So yeah, I don't know. I just all advancements are really cool to me, and it clicked and it worked really well too. So that definitely helped. That I was always having fun because I was the best. That definitely helped as well. But yeah.
And does that use the same version, 1.16?
Yeah, so I played 116 for basically those entire 3.5 years. Just because again, it's got the most like performance improvements and everything. It's got the most strategies to it. And it's also the fastest All Advancements version. But I dabbled in other All Advancements versions. A lot of them just have problems. Like if you go to 1.17, they only added like 5 advancements, I think. But 117 is like a disgusting version for Minecraft because they were hyping up the entire like world gen change, right? Where it's like the Y level is going to go up to 320. It's going to go down to -64. We're going to add new cave biomes. We're going to overhaul the entire terrain gen. And so they got in over their head. So 1.17 to them was okay, let's add all of the mobs and items and blocks and everything for the version, but just not change the terrain at all. So that's what they did in 1.17. Like if you look, it's really funny if you look at like a list of like blocks and items added per version. 1.18 is actually the smallest addition version, like in terms of just like actual things in the creative menu ever. It's literally 1 because they added a music disc that someone composed for 1.18 that wasn't ready in time for 1.17. That's the only thing they added for the entire version. But 1.18 is so impactful because they changed the entire world gen algorithm entirely, like by a completely massive amount. And so the game plays way differently. Anyways, my whole point with this, yapping and setting it up is they added all this shit in 1.17 to the game, like all the items, all the mods and everything, but they didn't change the world gen, but they still added the advancements that were supposed to go with the world gen. So there's an advancement for walking on powdered snow with leather boots because then you don't fall in the powdered snow and start freezing, whatever. That powdered snow is supposed to generate in mountains in the new mountain biomes, but it's 1.17. They didn't add the new biomes, but powdered snow still exists. So the only way to get powdered snow is you have to wait for the game to snow. So that's like once every hour or 2 hours. It has to like weather-wise snow. You have to be in a snowy biome, and you have to build like square on the ground, like a fucking array of cauldrons, and just wait for one of them to fill up. So that's the entire speedrun. It's the same exact thing basically as 1.16. You just have to wait for this powdered snow to generate. Just complete slop. 1.18 changed the world generation, so enchanted golden apples that you need for every food are much rarer because deserts are much rarer and desert temples spread apart are much rarer as well. So 1.18 has its own problems. 1.19 introduced the deep dark. Everything past 1.18 is also way laggier because they made the worlds way bigger and didn't change performance at all. Which they actually fixed like a week ago. Hopefully they changed the entire graphics engine for the game. But there was a solid like 4-year period
from today.
like Like a week or two ago, yeah, like one of the new
Wow.
snapshots, they switched from like OpenGL to Vulkan or whatever. They've been doing a fuck ton of like performance improvements in the last year, which is really like I'm actually really excited. Like with super new version of Minecraft, but there's this gap in like from like 1.18 to 1. Well, it's really like from 1.13 to 1.21. But there's enough performance mods in the older versions where it's all right, but from like 1.18 to 1.21, vanilla game performance is like terrible at like high render distances and like trying to explore a lot. It's just really bad. So yeah, 116 is just the best because it's the fastest, the most optimized. It's also still the easiest to get into for a new player because AA is just more, right? Like you do still have to beat the game, you still have to kill the dragon, then you have to do everything else on top of that. And so if you're doing it in a version where you're like, you're comfortable as a player, you already know the early game route. That's where a lot of people start. But I have dabbled in other AA versions. I don't know actually now because their whole versioning is really weird. All advancements gets like a new category split whenever there's just a new advancement added, because then you have to do more in the run. That's kind of what it's at now, which might get changed in the future because they're kind of doing incremental updates now as opposed to like what they would do in the past where it's like 1.11, that's the entire new version. And then if you like 1.11.2 is a bug fix, 1.11.3 is a bug fix or whatever. Now 1.21 trial chambers, 1.21.4 new biome, 1.21.8 or 1.21.5 I think like wolves and like wolf armor, 1.21.8 like they're adding things in these like subversions now. So I don't even know which subversions in 1.21 like even mean what anymore, but I have the world record for everything from 116 to 1.20 at least. Maybe someone actually took my 1.18 world record or my 1. I don't even know. I'd have to double check, but um other than 1.16 and then the newest version, no one really cares. But like I mentioned, I think maybe like half an hour ago, there's a pretty dedicated group of Chinese runners that have been pushing 1.21 or like new version game to its limits because there's a lot different. Like I think in 1.16 there's 80 advancements, in 1.21 like newest version I think there's 122, 123 or
Jeez.
something. So there's a lot more to do. And even from the 80 advancements that still exist in both versions, like find every biome, eat every food, there's just more biomes in the game. There's just more foods in the game. There's more passive mobs you have to tame. There's more hostile mobs you have to kill. So the whole run is like way more upgraded. And they've been pushing the times pretty low, which is cool. But I mainly played 116 other than like, one off, like, let me just get the 1.18 record in like 2 days because no one plays it kind of vibe. I've basically played 116 for 4 years of my life.
And when you started doing all advancements, did you said you stuck with that for basically a few years, like didn't do really anything else?
Um, I wouldn't say I didn't do anything else. It was sort of just the main thing. Something I really like about Minecraft is I feel like I could never get burnt out from the game because I could just switch categories or switch versions if I really needed to. So I basically played like that was my main thing for a solid 3.5, 4 years, from like late 2021 to mid 2025. So 3.5 years. But I was doing other stuff in between. Like I was obviously playing ranked a little bit more recently. I did. There were like 4 seasons of ranked that I didn't really play at all. Um, Sort of in the middle of that time, like for a good like year and a half. But I played a lot of ranked as sort of side content. I have improved my default any percent random seed PB over the years slightly. Whittled it down. Like I think when I started playing AA, it was like 10 minutes, and now it's 8:14 or something. So it's still far away from world record, but I do play it a little bit. I've done other versions as well. Like I have like a time, like I have decent times in 1.7 and 1.15, like nothing close to world record at all. But I've been around just, times where I'll have some burnout because there are times where I'd play, obviously the game is still so random. that I just don't get a good run going for an entire day, an entire 2 days. Like I don't even get anything started at all, and so there are times where it gets frustrating, obviously, and so I would switch to something else. But it was the main primary content for a very long time.
And how much did you lower the record over that time?
Um, I think my first record was 4:38. Um, I had second place at 5:55 when the world record was 5:51, and I actually choked at the end. I think I could have had world record by like 2 minutes. But I got a 4:38. Then I got a 4:33. Then a couple other people got it back down to a 4:10. And then from 4:10, I got a 3:33. And I've had the world record from that point and like consecutively, and I got it from a 3:33 to a 2:05, where it's at now. So hour and 28 minutes consecutively.
And is that run just even more RNG?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that hour and 30-minute improvement was just me genuinely getting better at the decision making in like all aspects, and slight overarching route changes and um overall improvements and all that. Definitely a lot of that, but at the point it is at now, it is still very random. Yeah, because you do just have to find everything, right? Like the main randomness, I'd say, is like finding the 5 rare biomes that you need for like finding all the biomes and breeding all the mobs and stuff, like Mushroom Island and the ocean, like a jungle that has pandas and everything. Like there's so much randomness. Um, it all obviously evens out though, right? Like if it's different in the sense that like in random seed, there's just less things in the run that you need to hit because it's only a 6-minute run. So it's kind of easier to hit that 1 in a million RNG, if that makes sense, versus like in all advancements, um, there's maybe like 10 times the amount of stuff that you could get lucky on. And so there's people who run set seed for all advancements, and you obviously have to do way more of the runs. So you're not going to get the same percentage decrease as like, random seed is 7 minutes, set seed is 2 minutes, right? So that's like a 3x time cut. You're not getting that in all advancements, but it goes from like 205 to I think a 119. So you
Wow.
save a good 45 minutes just knowing where everything is, and being able to practice a route. And so I think it's such a hard category to like do splits for and everything. I think my like if I had a sum of best, just because the game is infinitely random, like once you get to a point, the route is just whenever you find things, you do them. So it's not something where it's like I'm always doing the jungle and then the mushroom island and then the nether and then the mesa. Like that's just not how it works. You just kind of find things as you go. But I think my like rough sum of best, if you had to add it all up, was like a 149. So I had to be within 16 minutes of like the luckiest that I'd ever been at any split at any point in time. And so that sounds like a lot of time, but when you can burn 5 of those minutes in the first 20 minutes of the run, it's not a lot,
Yeah.
in the slightest. And so, yeah, I would say, yeah, there's a lot of randomness at the point that it's at now. Um, but there's obviously still a lot to still be improved on, like with that randomness. And I wouldn't even discount like you never want to count out like route changes or like new discoveries or anything, right? You never want to count those out in any game. But it feels to me that a lot of it is pretty solved in terms of like the overall route and everything. Like I would be surprised if there was a new major change in like the all advancements route in the next even like 4 to 5 years.
Mm-hmm. So you were just learning and doing that same run for just a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it's so decision making heavy that a lot of that, like I said, a lot of that like hour and a half time save was just getting so much snappier and like more just committal and making the right play
Mm-hmm.
way more often. Like, are you going to go left or right in this open ocean? When do you decide to try to pivot to doing stuff in the nether? When do you decide to start doing XYZ? And a lot of it too is remembering like not forgetting a single extra thing, because you can sort of get to the end of the run and be like, ah, damn, like I forgot to breed a fox, or like I forgot to fly over a dark forest. And it's something where it's like, if you remembered it in the moment, maybe it would have taken you 20 extra seconds flying around, but now it's going to take you 10 minutes because you're back at spawn. You have no idea where anything is. So yeah, a lot of it was getting more comfortable with just, the run and everything. A lot of it also just comes with, there have been like a lot of small changes, like optimizations to a lot of advancements and a lot of tech, and just like, overlapping certain mini splits in the run. Like there's one advancement where you have to cure a zombie villager. And there's a igloo structure in snowy biomes that just has a zombie villager in the basement, and it has a weakness potion in the basement as well. So it has everything for you there. So you find an igloo in a run, you cure the zombie villager, but it takes 3 to 5 minutes cutscene like time for it to cure. So you need to load those chunks the whole time. So you basically need to sit on your ass for 4 minutes. That specific like 4 minute split has had so much improvement over the years. That you've just been able to cram, an extra couple minutes of overlap. And then the end game of the run is something else too. Like there's a few like long-term advancements that you kind of build the whole run towards. Like have every effect at the same time is sort of the main one. So you need to brew like 8 potions. You need to craft a couple foods for effects. You need to get a full-size beacon for a couple other effects. You need to get a conduit for another effect. So that's what a lot of the run builds to. And then there's a lot of stuff that you overlap in that endgame split. Like you set all that stuff up, and then on the way, like you get an effect for doing a raid at a village, and then you are going to just keep that effect for the end of the game. So you do this raid at the end, and you get a couple advancements while you do the raid, just for like beating a raid and killing all the mobs and everything. So that endgame split is something that has been whittled down from like, I'd say on average, 25 to 30 minutes, whereas like more recently in like practice maps for the end game, people can get it done just barely sub 10. Like that's how whittled down it is. And if you obviously that's in a practice situation, if you do it in a real run, I think my fastest end game in a real run is like 14:30, maybe 15:30. Whereas like 3 years ago, you pull up any VOD, it's going to take me 30 minutes, 25 minutes. So there's been a lot of improvements in just, small micro, like actual routing things, but so much of it is just getting more comfortable with the game over 4 years and just, being able to make the correct decision every time, or like as accurate as I can. Sort of how a lot of the improvement came as well.
Do you end the run the same way you end it in any percent, or is it just the route is different?
No, so any percent ends when you go through the credits.
Yeah.
And so AA will end when you do the final like called How Do We Get Here? And it's just have every effect at the same time.
Okay.
And then the effect that's like maybe the third to last advancement that you do, and then the last one is resummoning the dragon. So you do end it in the end. But yeah, it's just because there's an advancement for resummoning the dragon, but then you can't leave the end, because once the dragon's resummoned, it like closes the exit portal. You have to kill it again to open it again. So it just makes the most sense to do it at the end of the run, because then you avoid that.
Okay. When do you kill
like
the dragon the
minute or
first
two.
time?
Oh, that's the exact same. Like the first 15 minutes basically look the exact same. You just
Oh,
need
really?
to,
Okay.
yeah, you just need to spawn in a desert temple, or not in one, but like near one, because you need gunpowder for rockets for your elytra to like rocket fly. And it's just like infinite, like that's just how you fly infinitely fast. Not infinitely fast, but like that's how you fly fast over long distances. I shouldn't use that word that's not what it means. So as long as you just spawn like in a desert temple in a village or whatever, so like the average nether entry time is like 3.5 minutes, versus if you were just spawning in an ocean, it'd be like 1.5. So you lose like 2 minutes compared to like a normal run off spawn every time. And then you just need to find a library in the stronghold to get books for enchanting. But that's literally the only difference until you kill a dragon. Like the bastion and the fortress and everything is the exact same. So
Mm.
um, the run starts very, very similar, and then once you get to that point, it all is obviously completely different. Because if you're doing any percent, the run's just over when you kill the dragon. But
Yeah.
you do AA, you have to do everything else.
Yeah. Because I was gonna ask then if could you in theory just turn any like decent any percent run into all advancements, but I guess there's like a couple things you would do differently before getting to that
Yeah,
first
it's
boss.
just the spawn being different. Yeah, it's like you could at like a casual level and it wouldn't really matter. Um because you could just get an elytra and then leave the end and like you wouldn't really need the rockets. You could just go kill creepers later. But this like if you're trying to be fast, you do want your spawn to be different, and then if you're trying to be fast, your spawn's different. You're not going to be able to get like a super fast any percent time. Like the world record's 651. Um, I only ever killed the dragon on the fastest I ever killed the dragon if I decided to just like enter the credits portal instead of going to try to find an elytra in the outer end islands. Would have been like a 954. That was the only time anyone's ever had sub 10 pace in an all advances run ever.
Hmm.
And that's 3 minutes away from world record.
Yeah.
With like the best nether that I've ever had, the best overall I've ever had, all combined. So it is just different. Because you're spending a little bit more time in the bastion trying to get more resources. You're spending just a little bit more time getting more blocks in the overworld and everything to sort of set yourself up for later in the run.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting the library and the stronghold because you need the books for enchanting. So they're slightly different things, but
Okay, so similar but different enough to where, yeah,
overlapping both you can never do optimally.
makes sense.
You'd have to like take a hit on your pace for one of the runs.
Okay, and then I guess what made you stop doing that as your main thing because, uh,
Yeah. A couple things. Mainly nothing mainly. Ranked is just really big now.
yeah,
And I started playing ranked maybe like a year, like more consistently a year and a half ago. And I haven't won a playoffs. Only a few people have done that, but I've been in all the playoffs since I started playing again, and I've been pretty good. Like I think I'm third on the leaderboard right now. Yeah, third. So it's still been fun. It's a lot more mainstream as well. Like it is just hard to understand all advancements run. It's a lot easier to understand them just main game run.
yeah,
Default normal category run. And it was a bit more mainstream, right? Like that's what Ludwig was doing when he had his Minecraft phase a couple months ago. Bringing a lot of new viewers to the scene. So it is just better, like from a job perspective and like a viewer perspective and everything, which matters a little bit. It is also a lot less fun playing AA recently, just for two reasons. I guess one is that the time is so good now that it's hard to improve. There's a lot more days where runs don't even get close to being good on pace. There's a lot more runs where I can start the mid game of the run where like I've enchanted everything. Now I'm flying around looking for stuff. And then let's say I start flying around, I find a jungle within a couple minutes. I fly all around the jungle for 5 minutes and then realize like after I've cleared the entire jungle that there's no pandas. It's like, okay, well, I just spent 2 hours resetting. I just finally got enchanted, finally got a run on good pace. Within 3 minutes, I already lost 5 minutes of time. So like, fuck me, I guess. And that just happens more and more often now that there's like less and less wiggle room. The time is get better. That's a big thing. Also, technology wise, the performance recently has just sucked ass. I think it's because, and I don't even know it's a problem, which is low-key been pissing me off. But I think it's just some of the new performance mods that have been optimized for like any percent resetting, like because no one really plays AA compared to any percent random seeds. So like a lot of new like resetting mods and everything, I think performance really sucks for all advancements just because when you're playing random, so you don't need to load tens of thousands of chunks when you're flying around the world. Like you're always staying close to spawn. You don't need a large amount of RAM or a large amount of anything. So the performance has actually been like really annoying. Like I get a lot of micro stutters when I play now. And it like genuinely just like ticks me off. So it's a combo of three things. Mainly. I don't know. And it's just hard to beat the world record. I just, like I said too, it's like less fun. Plus, oh, I guess I didn't say it's like, I guess it's boring that I haven't had any competition or pressure for like 4 years. Not in the sense that like people have been close in second place. Like there was a time where second place was only 3 minutes away. In all advancements, one of the advancements is related to the weather. You need a lightning storm to be able to convert a villager into a witch. Those lightning storms on average only happen once every 6 hours.
Oh my god.
And they're completely independent of the seed. Like you can play, it's just like a number in the level file that gets generated when you generate the seeds. So even if you play like set seed all advancements, it's not the same every time. It's not like a standard thing in the world, like, you know, your structure spawns would be. So what that means is that off spawn, like 80% of your runs are just dead and you don't know until you finish the entire run because you just won't get thunder. So you won't be able to do the advancement and it's GG because the world record's 2 hours. Thunder on averages every 6. Obviously, if it thunders 10 minutes into the run and you're in the end, you can't do anything about that. Like you do need to have your trident and have it enchanted at the time. So the actual like window of like useful thunder is like an hour, 20 minutes, hour, 30 minutes. So there have been times where someone has had a faster thunderless time than me, which basically means that like they have 79 out of 80 advancements. The only one they're missing is the weather one. It's not like they did anything wrong in the game, right? It's like they didn't. You can't make the argument. It's like, oh, they could have flown left instead of right. Oh, they could have got luckier on this one drop. It's like, oh, the game didn't choose the right number in the file when you made the seed, so you got fucked. Like the weather numbers just didn't line up. So that's actually what it's like now. Like my world record is at 205. Someone has a 202 thunderless. The guy who's in I think third place right now or something. He got that a few months ago after I kind of stopped playing. So if his stupid number in the file was any different, he would have the world record right now.
So
And like I
what?
said, yeah. And that never really pissed me off. I think a lot of the reason why it never pissed me off is just because I had the world record for 4 years. So it's like if I got rolled on something, it's like, oh, whatever. Like it's not like I got rolled on a world record, but I still have the world record, so I don't really care. But it's now gotten to the point where it's like, damn, like yes, there is competition. Yes, I think there's like, you know, a solid 2 or 3 people that could get the world record tomorrow if they got a good run, but I have had the world record for 4.5 years almost at this point. So it's, I don't know, it's just boring at this point.
You're
Like,
satisfied if
yeah,
you were to
the
never play it.
motivation's hard to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the motivation for like ranked is there because I have never won a playoffs. There
Yeah.
is like still more to do, so that's kind of why I've switched. Yeah.
Well, I guess speaking of, it's a good segue into ranked. I'm curious, like, how that started and why it's really popped off recently.
I mean, ranked started like what 3.5 years ago, just as a way for people to compete against each other like an easy client, because people have always like done races against each other manually. People have done tournaments manually, right? Like you send somebody a world file, like, oh, both load this at the same time, and then someone will be watching and they'll unmute when someone finishes. Rank was just a way to automate that and you know, have it tied into an elo system, and also a way to, you know, automate the process of not having to like run a seed filter and have someone manually check every seed. Like there was, you know, the filter is really good now. Like it checks for, you know, all the structures that it needs. It actually can Frankenstein together different parts of seeds. So every ranked seed nowadays, actually you can't even roll it because the nether is a different seed than the overworld. which doesn't mean anything for like the player because there's no strats that rely on the seed being the same across dimensions. Um, there's no consistent strats at all. There's some like random seed cracking shit, but it's not relevant anymore. So ranked like has a lot more seeds they can use and a lot more like flexibility with how precise they can have the filter be because they can sort of Frankenstein together seeds that can't ever exist normally. And make sure that there's like air blocks for terrain in between all the structures and everything. So ranked came about just as a better way for like people to play together and compete and like practice and learn. And back in the day, it was very similarly made and like targeted towards random seed players. There's like 5 different seed types, overworld types that you can play. There's the shipwreck and the buried treasure, which are the most similar to random seed stuff because it's just the most consistent enters. Finding a buried treasure for your iron and magma ravine in the ocean, and then you can also play a room portal, which is also a valid enter, but it's just very rare because if those aren't filtered for, most of the time the room portal chest has nothing or there's crying obsidian in the way, so like you just can't enter. It's the biggest high roll structure. Works like 0.5% of the time, and when it works it's really good, but basically never works. And obviously, so if you make a filter where it works every time, then it'll be really fast. And then there's the village and the desert temple, which are 2 slower land-based seed types. But back in the day for ranked, those were not all uniformly distributed. Like right now, if you queue up, you have a 20% chance at like a high level to get any one of the 5 seed types. Back in the day, it was an 80% chance that you would get one of the 2 ocean seed types and a 20% chance you would get the other ones, just because they were trying to make it as inviting to what people knew at the time was like fun, what people were playing at the time, the random seed of the world. And then I don't know, just like over a couple of years, ranked started their playoff circuit where you just pull the top 16 people from the leaderboard from like a low qualifier at the end of the season, have them play in a bracket, show off the best of the best. That got a lot of people excited, a lot of people invested in ranked. And then it's just so easy to have anyone learn and hop in and play because the seeds are good, and that means a lot. Because when you're playing random seed, you can be sitting and resetting for 3 hours and then enter the nether 2 times, and then there's no bastion. So you just kind of, no, you didn't waste 3 hours of your life, but it's like you didn't get a run going, right? So it's like, versus if you play ranked, every seed that you play is good. You get a run going in 5 seconds by hitting Q up, and your structures are all there, and it's fun. And it's easy to learn because you're always getting good seed experience. Seeds that are random to you, right? It's like they feel random. They don't feel faked. It doesn't feel like a practice map necessarily where you can kind of get an autopilot. Like the terrain's different every time. The stuff you have is different every time. So yeah, it's been a way for like a lot of new players to get into the game, and it's been very convenient for that. And so I think that's why it's just been doing so well for itself, especially recently with the whole Ludwig boom and everything.
And then there are seasons, right? And then
Yeah, it used to be 3 months, but very quickly it got changed to 4-month seasons. So yeah, maybe that'll change in the future. I don't know. Because 4 maybe feels like a lot. Like 3 seasons per year, maybe instead of it could be 2.
yeah.
But yeah, it's 4-month seasons, and there's like a soft reset of elo after every season. But it's the playoffs happen every 4 months. So there was the playoffs in January, and there's going to be a playoffs in 3 weekends, right? Yeah,
Okay. And then
starts in 3 weekends.
do they change up something each season, or is it just like a reset of the elo?
No, it's just a reset of the elo. I mean, there's like small things, like there's been small filter changes just sort of to make the game like more fun. Like nothing like from a game balancing perspective though. It's more just been like, okay, now the filter makes sure that there's like terrain and better spots. Now it's more likely that like you're not gonna have a desert village with no trees. 'Cause that's just like boring. There hasn't really been any meta changes. And I don't know if there ever will be, right? Because people have still, I guess, like we're now more and more getting to the point where like the game feels like as close to solved as it ever has been. But ranked has never done something that like forcibly has people play differently than they would in random seed. Like there's never been like, oh, for this season we're gonna not have one type of bastion ever, or for this season we're gonna make it so that the pearl trade rates are doubled or something. Like that's no vanilla mechanics like that have ever been changed or like even been considered to be changed. It's just a reset of the elo, so there's another chance for new players to get to the top of the leaderboard and prove their way.
Okay. And then to determine like the champion, it just takes the top 16 elo ranks for that season. And
it's a bit more complicated than that. That's how it used to work, where it would take the top 8 from the leaderboard and then there'd be a qualifier, just like a little one-day mini tournament from anybody in the top 100, and then you'd pick 8 from that. The problem that we saw with that is that a lot of people just wouldn't play ranked until the very end of the season, and then they would get a high elo, and then they wouldn't play at all. So they'd play for like 3 days, and then that'd be it. So now the way it works is every season is 4 months. It's divided into 4-month-long phases, and then at the end of each phase, you get some points based on what your placement was at the end of that phase. So it takes like 4 snapshots over the course of the season. Still leads to a similar problem where it's like, okay, you're 4 days away from this one phase ending and you're at a high enough elo, so you're not going to play for 4 days to sort of try to keep that elo up. But it's overall much better than people not playing at all until the final 3 days.
It rewards consistent playing, at least more than it
yeah,
used
yeah.
to. Okay.
For sure. Because and I actually was just reminded of this today, it's just funny. In season 2 of Ranked, somebody made playoffs by only playing 6 games in the entire season.
Oh my god.
He played 6 games. He won all 6 of those games. So he won like his 5 placements and then 1 extra game. He was like top 20 at the end of season 1. So he placed high enough to end the season 75th. And then he got top 8 in that final like qualification tournament. So he got 2 playoffs by playing 6 games the entire season. So that's something that just can't happen at all anymore. Like I think that all the top players, like 1,000 matches, 500, 1,000, 600, 400, 800, 800, and that's all in 3.5 months. So that's on average, like 8 to 10 games a day. So yeah, it just rewards consistent play, and it takes the top 12 players from that like point leaderboard at the end of the season, and then there's a very similar qualifier for the top 4 for 4 final spots.
Okay.
Then it's just a bracket, single elam bracket. If you win 4 games, you win playoffs, or 4 matches, I guess. You win playoffs.
And that's what everyone's been doing.
Yeah, it's just it's good to watch. Because there is still a lot of prestige in getting the world record. Like you have the 651, you have the world record, but it is just a lot more random. The person who has a world record right now actually has won playoffs 3 times, so it is kind of lining up in this way, which is funny. But he's not even what people would consider to be the best random seed player, like the best resetter, the best person who has the highest odds for world record. He just played for a couple weeks, got a very lucky seed, obviously played it well, and has a world record. But the category is just so random, and there's one winner and there's infinite losers, and you can play for months and years and still be a loser, versus ranked where, obviously you lose on average half your games, but it's more standardized, it's more consistent. It's more fun to watch because there's that competition aspect. It's not a single player thing. It's just what a lot more people enjoy. So that's why it's just been so popular.
Yeah.
I think.
I was introduced to the concept. He was in chat earlier. We Super hosted a teaching like Mario runners to speedrun and like inviting top Minecrafters to teach them how to do it, and then did the whole tournament kind of based in that similar format. Were you involved in that? I forget.
I was not. I had some other stuff going on over those weekends, so I just couldn't. Otherwise, I would have been interested for sure. I mean, I was interested. I just had a conflict. But yeah, there's been a few events like that for different like communities or just different like, variety streamers or anything in general. And I think ranked has been really good for that. Because the ranked itself doesn't have like crazy practice tools because it's just a lot to design. Like I know they've wanted to do it for a solid like, year and a half, but there's just been so much other things on the plate. But like using ranked as the practice tool in combination with like the practice maps and everything, it's just so easy to get reps in on like good seeds. Um, Especially where you can, make a solo room with just yourself to practice. Like you don't necessarily have to queue up against somebody else. And it uses like the same seed filter and everything. So it's so easy to get the reps in. Um, Ranked has just made everybody better. Everybody um, better at the game faster, easier to get better at the game. So yeah, it opens the doors for so many people who are new to the game entirely to have fun playing, have fun improving, right? Because you can see the improvement as well, right? If you're playing random seed and you have a few days where you don't get any good seeds with resetting it could feel like you're not improving. It could feel like hopeless, but you actually just aren't able to see it just because you're getting unlucky.
Mm-hmm.
But it just doesn't happen with ranked.
Yeah, I've noticed the Mario runners I follow that were a part of that occasionally still will stream ranked or something, so they got
Yeah.
pretty invested in it. Although I do notice that I don't think any of them like do the proper speed run submit to leaderboard type thing. It's like purely the rank that got them hooked. So clearly
Yeah,
there's
it's
something there.
just yeah, there are a lot of people that's sort of a newer like phenomenon is they're like just having people that start with ranked and only play ranked. It just is more fun, right? And then once you're
Mm-hmm.
hooked, it's like, okay, well, do I want to keep playing ranked and try to improve my elo, or do I want to go to resetting and then you can't use ranked because the mod makes your runs unverifiable, so you have to set up a different like Minecraft, and then you have to learn how to reset, and that's a crazy skill in and of itself. So if you just hop in and play for nothing, it might take you an hour to get into the nether once, and then your nether is on average going to have nothing in it. So it's like a much longer term process that is a lot less fun in the moment. So there are a lot of new runners that have never played random seed. Like the guy in second place on the leaderboard right now started playing ranked 4 seasons ago. He's never finished a run on a random seed. He just only started with ranked, just has played ranked and is one of the best. Just didn't need to start anywhere else.
Very interesting, but I mean, cool that it's a way you can get pulled into it. Um,
Yeah, for sure.
because you brought up reset, that it's actually something I had a question about because I remember I was at some pace event. I think it was the first one post COVID that had a Minecraft LTA.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember like most of the stream was just, you have like 9 instances of Minecraft on everyone's screen trying to find
Yeah,
seeds. I'm like, and I think that was the first time I ever saw that. I'm just like, what the fuck am I looking
that's how it goes.
at? So just how I guess how does that work exactly? Like, first of all, are you opening so many instances? Is it even more now? And then like, what are you looking for?
Um, well, now it's technically less because
Mm,
there was a mod that was developed probably 2 years ago now that just combines it all into one. So you used to actually need to open all the different versions of the game or instances of the game like separately, and you'd have all the different Java processes running at the same time.
oh my
And
god.
I actually bought 64 gigs of RAM on my old PC for that because not only was I opening 15 instances of the game, I was also playing all advancements. So I needed more RAM. Like I needed like 2.8 gigabytes of RAM on my instances, whereas other people could get away with like 2.2 or 2.1. So I got 64 gigs of RAM so that I had headroom for everything else because even just the Minecrafts were using 40. Uh, but now there's a mod that lets you do it all in one game, and it uses like 10 gigs of RAM instead of 40. Um, and you can run same like I think it's up to 30 like um quote unquote instances that you can have resetting maximum at a time. Um which is just like a leaderboard like restriction put in. Like if you had a good enough setup you could get to like 100, but
Mm-hmm.
that would like the hardware gap would be too big, it wouldn't be fair.
Yeah.
So they set the limit at 30. But yeah, that's how it works. And then most people you just look for an island that looks like it has trees and looks like it's in a deep ocean. And that's where the main skill is like how often can you lock those seeds? How often can you actually get into good islands because you're looking for a buried treasure? Because if you open a buried treasure chest within 15 seconds, you can have all your food, all your iron, all your gold, um, TNT for all your blocks. Like you can just have everything so fast. So you look for that, and then that's how you get in the Nether within like minute 20, minute 30, almost every time. Um, but yeah, that's the major skill is like people who just can have looked at that wall for months and years and know exactly, you know, off of just looking at something for a quarter of a second, exactly like is this island look good enough? Are there going to be trees behind me? Is this ocean going to be deep? So that I can have RV more often. And then even when they get in the seed, it's like, can you find that buried treasure as fast as possible? Can you find that magma ravine? Do you like when do you reset, right? Because not every island is gonna have a buried treasure. Not every ocean is gonna have a magma ravine close enough. So it's like the skill of how do you know when to give up can change. Like, is the best player in the world getting in the Nether 12 times an hour, and then you're getting in the Nether 3 times an hour, right? So like by default, you're at a like 4-1 disadvantage just off that resetting skill. It doesn't even matter how good you are playing at the game, how fast you can go. It's like you're seeing 4 times less seeds than the other person. So that skill is just so crazy, and that's why I think so many people are like play ranked and stick with rank because you just don't need to worry about that at all. It's not something you need to learn.
Yeah. So when timing starts, is that when it finishes loading up, or is it on first movement? Because then the waiting.
Timer, yeah, timer's on first movement.
Okay.
Well, it's technically I think it is on first movement, but you're not allowed to like wait for 20 minutes to like, oh, I'm gonna wait an entire night cycle and not move. Like I'm gonna unpause and not move, and then maybe a creeper will spawn and be next to me
Okay.
and give me a block. That's not allowed. It's like, but it's like if you unpause and then like you're unpaused for like a quarter of a second before you actually move your mouse, like that quarter second doesn't get timed, but it's like within reason.
Mhm.
Uh,
I was asking more because when you're like looking at all of the instances, can you do you have to like look at it quickly, or if it doesn't start till you start moving, can you like take your time to look at them and be like, oh, this one looks good. Now I'll start moving.
yeah, you can take your time. It's not like the way that most people have their resetting set up is not where they can actually sort of like stare and look at the wall before they like look at the wall of a world before they go. It's more like you look at the wall as it's sort of passing you on the resetting. You click it if you think it looks good, and then it sends it to like this like off screen sort of queue because there's just not enough space on the screen to show like 30 images
Mm.
at like high enough resolution. So then it sends to some back queue, and then usually when runners get maybe 10, 12, 15 of those going, because you get in a little bit of a rhythm, right? Like you're clicking through all these seeds, you get in a little bit of a flow state. Once you maybe have a dozen of them, you click like the play button, and then it just puts you into all of these seeds back to back, because
Oh.
90% of seeds won't have a buried treasure at spawn at all. It's a 1% chance in a beach chunk, and so an island maybe has 10 beach chunks, so there's a 90% chance you have nothing. So you'll get in this rhythm where you hit the play button, puts you in a world. You do a little spin, you check for your buried treasure, you hit the reset key, it instantly puts you in the next world. So you're not looking at that frame anymore. Obviously, if you know like, oh, I locked 10 seeds, but the fourth one that I locked was actually I spawned in front of a room portal instead. So you can kind of count that in your head while you're playing, but people don't have layouts set up to where they know exactly what they're looking for, because you can't really get that much info from staring at us. Like, yes, it can help a little bit, but you can't really plan out that much if you spawn on an island. It's like, oh, you don't know where the buried treasure is. It's not like staring at the screen is going to help you find it. You have to kind of play. Um, so yeah, it does start on first input though, so you can actually look at that like pause initial world load to get some level of information.
Okay. That's actually interesting. I didn't know that's how it worked, where you click on what looks good and then it's queued up for later. I haven't heard of
Yeah,
anything
it's
quite like
just
that.
It's just because that's what kind of gets people in the best rhythm, right? As opposed to like, resetting, playing one seed, resetting, playing one seed, resetting, playing one seed. You kind of
Mhm.
do 2 minutes of resetting, then you play 15 seeds in a row, then you do another 2 minutes of resetting just to get that flow. It's just
Hmm.
faster overall.
Yeah, it makes sense, especially for that game, since it's such a different speed run to most other games. But yeah, I mean, I think that's unique to that game. I haven't heard of anything like that.
Yeah. There's a lot of things very unique to Minecraft.
Fair enough, but I mean that is cool. I mean,
Hmm.
again, I remember just seeing 9 instances constantly loading up, and this was 2022, so it must have been well before this new thing
Yeah, before that mod. I
put
think I
out.
was there. Yeah, I think I remember that.
Oh,
Um,
but it was just like, what the hell
yeah.
is this? And that's like primarily what you're looking at because it's so hard to
Yeah, that's a
start a
majority
run.
of your playtime. Exactly. Yeah, majority of your playtime is on that wall, and that's another reason why ranked is so popular because the majority of your playtime is in the game versus when you're doing resetting. Majority of
Mhm.
your playtime is resetting, trying to get the good.
Yeah, it's funny because obviously in LTA you're like doing regular attempts just in a limited time frame. So that was actually like my first impression of regular Minecraft speedrunning. I was just like, wow, this looks horrible. This looks so
Yeah.
unfun and boring. So not a good. Obviously, things have gotten better, especially with the rank format. But that was
Mhm.
my first. That was my first impression of Minecraft. So it's just funny, but I guess
Very crazy game that we have.
it's gotten better. Um, I guess speaking on the whole tournament thing, have there been any other like big things you've been a part of? Whether it relates to ranked or anything else.
Um, yeah, there's been a few like one-off things that are just sort of. I mean, more recently, it's sort of just kind of been only ranked stuff, or like tournaments will just use ranked as their
Hmm.
as their sort of platform. Um, there's a few things I've done like for fun, like you can't really call them tournaments, just like sort of like Minecraft minigame events with like variety content creators and stuff. Um, in terms of competition, it sort of is mainly just ranked. Um, and then a couple like fun side things off of ranked, where it's like just a little bit of twists on the game and everything. But the main thing is still just playoffs. What most people kind of care about and practice for and play for and all that.
Hmm. But yeah, with a game this popular, right? I know tournaments have been on a long. They've been everywhere for a long time. Just
Yeah.
so many players, but obviously ranked's a little more of a modern thing. That helps a lot, but
Mhm.
I mean, obviously I've been to and seen a bunch of even speedrunning focused marathons that always have Minecraft somewhere. So I know there's a lot of content as it relates to it.
Mhm.
Um it's actually funny, I remember specifically as it relates to Minecraft. I don't know what the Minecraft scene was like in 2014. And I wasn't around speedrunning back then either, but I remember because I know Bismuth pretty well. He got a world record in Minecraft at GDQ Live. I don't know if that's like a big thing that gets passed down the grapevine, but
I have heard about that. I was not there, and I don't even
yeah.
know. I'm trying to think. I don't even know what category that is. Might have been probably like set seed 1.6 or something. Um,
Yeah, I'm not sure, but
but
I
no,
just
the
remember.
category was just so small back in the day, and there's very few people that like just very few people that were around there in general, and so there's very even less that are around the whole time. Like all of my close friends only started in like 2020
Yeah.
or later, um, because the community was just so small and so different back in the day. Um, just completely different vibes. It was not a mainstream spearing game at all. Even though it was a mainstream game, it was just
Hmm.
so not a mainstream spearing game whatsoever because the tech just wasn't there, the version wasn't there, everything wasn't there.
Yeah. I guess it's just kind of interesting with a game as popular as that was even back then, that it took a while for it to like build a proper speedrunning community, and then when it
Mhm.
did, it became like the number one most popular one.
Yeah, when it blew up, it blew up, but
Yeah,
it took a while.
yeah. That's just pretty interesting to me because a lot of other games, blew up as you'd expect, especially if they were popular. Um,
Mhm.
but I don't know, something. Minecraft took a minute, but then it then it hit.
Then it hit, yeah.
um, I mean, I guess I've kind of gone over everything.
Sweet.
I'm trying to think if I've missed out on any questions I was planning on asking. I don't think so. Because I asked about resets, dragon perches, all, and then there's so many other things that are just not worth going into because we'll
I
be
mean, yeah, I
here
could
our
talk
whole
for
lives.
20 hours.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm trying to not get too crazy here, but all the tournaments. I mean, I guess as speedrunning relates to you personally, have we gone over everything you feel is worth covering?
Yeah, I mean, I watch a lot of stuff, but I really just kind of only play Minecraft. Like
Yeah.
I haven't touched any other games. Like I think I did Plants vs Zombies with my friends for fun, just like a totally blind run like a couple years ago, just because it's like, oh, everyone played that on their phone in middle school. Like let's
Yeah.
just play forever. And I'll watch stuff like I've been following Mario 64 a lot the last
Yeah.
few months with the Sweegee's bounty that he keeps taking from himself.
Yeah, you contributed to that, I think I saw.
Yeah, I think the game is really cool.
Oh yeah. I mean,
And just watching other speed games too. Like I watched a lot of Celeste back in the day, not as much anymore. Um, but my life is mainly just Minecraft. The game's so fun. I just play Minecraft so like a lot.
well, it seems to be working out pretty well, so that's good.
Yes, I'm very thankful for that.
Well, I am curious about like future plans as it relates to Minecraft or anything related to content, I guess.
Um, just some more ranked. There's a Curryway is doing a kind of hosting it in partnership with this little esports org that he's in. Um, like a lockout kind of tournament event thing in the next couple months, so that'll be fun. Hopefully, like a little circuit for that. With their whole custom like client and world and everything. I don't know too much info about it because he only announced it a couple weeks ago. So that should be fun. But there'll be a playoffs every 4 months. There's actually a LAN event in 4 days that I fly out for.
Mm.
That it's not a playoffs, but it's just like a ranked like 8-person bracket thing in Vegas.
Oh
Um,
wow.
so that'll be cool. Maybe there'll be more of those in the future as well, just like random lands and stuff to go play in person.
Other lands like
Um,
big events or because I hear
um,
like a LAN tournament as it relates to speedrunning, I think of a group of people went to a basement for a day.
no, that's valid. I mean, this one is it's part of it's called Level Up Expo, so it's like it's part of this. We just have like a little bit of like a stage space, I think, or like just space in general at this like separate big like gaming anime convention thing. So I have no idea. This is the first time that Ranked has done a LAN here,
Okay.
or like a LAN similar to this scale. So I really have no idea how many people are gonna show up, or because obviously a lot of people will be watching. Like the numbers will surely be similar to like a playoffs or just our streams in general of people just watching. But I have no idea how many people will be there in person because obviously things like pace or whatever, there's only a few dozen people
Mm.
around, like maybe max 100 people. But at least at this expo, for what I know, at least this expo wise, there's like tens of thousands of people at the expo in general, just in terms of like for all the gaming and anime stuff. And we're only like one side thing there, but I don't know how many people are going to show up just for the Minecraft.
Okay, so
Um,
it's like a GDQ at PAX or TwitchCon kind of a thing where it's like,
yeah,
yeah,
that's a good way to phrase it. I think
okay,
yeah, makes
yeah,
so much sense.
because I'm definitely more familiar with that. So yeah, that
Yeah.
relationship makes a lot more sense to me then. Well, that's cool. I mean, I love when expos kind of do speed run stuff integrated with their event somewhere because that's been happening a lot more. Again, GDQ is a good example with now they're at like every PAX and TwitchCon's been a staple. So just more speedrun content. Always a fan.
Yeah,
So
no, it should be really cool.
yeah, yeah. I hope events continue to do stuff like that. Um,
100%.
so that's the near future then, and then just ranked on the mind for,
Yeah,
for
surely a win a playoffs eventually. We'll see.
well, I mean, they're more popular than ever, so it might be harder than ever, but you never know,
Very true.
right? Do you have any like plans or stuff you've done in terms of just like general content creation? No.
Just ranked and
Yeah,
Minecraft experience streaming. Nothing specific. I've never been a big guy planning for that.
that's
Just
fair. I
like
mean,
streaming, like playing.
yeah, I know that's a big thing, especially when you get big enough. You're like expected to do something like that. But I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, I get it. My content creation is just uploading VODs of interviews, and I call it a day. So definitely get that. So, I mean, I guess that's everything then. Future plans covered. You sound like our discussion was satisfactory, so good enough for me.
Yeah, I mean, again, I could talk for 30 hours
Yeah.
about Minecraft, but we just don't have the time.
Yeah, I'm not here to waste you or anyone else's time with the huge nitty gritty because, yeah, it's a very complex game. Actually, if people want to learn more about more intricate details, what would you recommend?
um, I mean, you can always watch any top runner and ask them. Like, everyone's very nice about the questions that you're asking and trying to, that's just how the speedrun community goes, right? Everyone
Mhm.
always trying to help. Um, not very gatekeepy in the slightest. And there's a couple of really good guides online. Like if you just find YouTube videos, there's like a Curryway has a really good Metafy guide that is like a basics to everything. Um, and if you ask anyone in any chat, they'll have a link to that. Or just ask anyone any question or whatever. Just watching people play and trying to learn. It's always the best way for like any game, right? Even not even just Minecraft, just watching the best and trying to ask, see what they do.
All right, good deal. Well, guess the last thing I last then, well, is just ask you to self promote yourself in any of your channels.
I mean, yeah, I'm just Feinberg everywhere. I think like maybe my Twitter handles, I think it's Feinberg underscore MC, but if you just search up Feinberg, you'll get there. I just play a lot of ranked, play a lot of Minecraft, and call it a day.
Fair enough. Again, seems to be working out, so that's all you need.
Yeah.
As long as you're having fun, and it's sounds like that. It's hard to not have fun with Minecraft with just how much variety you can get out of that game.
Yeah, if I'm ever not having fun, there's just always something else to switch to. So it's worked that way for the past 5, 6 years. Hopefully it stays that way for a while.
And no two runs will be the same unless you're playing set seed, which no one is. So your no run will
Yes.
be the same. All right.
Exactly.
Well, I guess we'll call it a day then. So thanks for coming on the show to talk about Minecraft.
Of course. Sounds good. Thank
I
you for
was
having
happy.
me.
Yeah, I was happy to learn more. Um, and now I'll at least understand what's going on a little bit more because, as you could tell, I was very confused. So,
Yes, it is a very, very confusing game. Very different than a lot of people's casual experience with Minecraft, so I do not blame you.
but I mean, hey, people love it, and again, the ranked is very popular. So, um,
Yes.
it's a cool community. Go check it out. Follow the links. People watching. Um, you can tell I don't know how to end these anymore after 166 episodes, but we're doing our best. But yeah, that'll be all for today.
That,
So, yep. Thanks everyone for
yep.
watching, and see you next week with another episode as always. So, take care. Bye.